Hey, what's happening everybody? Welcome back to Anime Casuals. I am Lucky, and today we're going to be talking about some of the most unique sword styles in anime. So before we get into this, I just want to claim this right now. I am probably not going to get a lot of your guys' picks on this top 5 because, there's only 5 slots. And I haven't watched every single anime out there. I know, pretty crazy, right? So if there are any that I missed, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and maybe I might make a part 2. So my main criteria for this list is originality of the stance and techniques used in said styles. And I'm trying to focus on sword or sword equivalents. So if you don't see Guts from Berserk on here, or Renji from Bleach, their swords are a little far out there, so maybe I might make another list on swords like that. But anyway, let's get into my top 5 unique sword styles in anime. At number 5, Champloo Kendo, used by Mugen from Samurai Champloo. Well, this list is all about originality, and who better to start us off than Mugen? Mugen utilizes a technique dubbed Champloo Kendo, which utilizes a lot of moves seen in breakdancing, and I always thought of it kind of like a version of capoeira, but with a sword. Using this sword style, Mugen can really throw off even high-level samurai, since it's pretty rare to see somebody use their geta or Japanese clogs to block sword attacks, or to utilize kicks, especially these kicks that you're seeing on the screen right now, as a basis for a fighting style, especially when you're in the middle of a sword fight. Despite his lack of skill in traditional martial arts, Mugen's reflexes and creativity really put him above a lot of other samurai out there. His instincts are sharp enough to go against any trained swordsman's blade, and his adaptability opens him up enough to go head to head with people from other countries as well, as we see here when he was able to defeat an opponent from China who also used Chi. Even though Mugen is number 5 on this list, he definitely has some of the flashiest moves of anybody on this list. At number 4, the Gatotsu, used by Hajime Saito from Rurouni Kenshin. So Saito is my favorite character in Rurouni Kenshin, and for good reason. He is Kenshin's rival, and despite the fact he comes off as evil, he is married and works as a police officer, and kind of fits more into the role of an anti-hero. But what really made him stand out was his technique, the Gatotsu. By the way, in doing a little bit of research for this video, I did find a YouTube channel that actually tried to do the Gatotsu Isshiki, which we'll get into the different forms in just a second, and it was actually really entertaining. It's a Korean channel by the name of HoguCouple, and they even bring this to their local kendo teacher as well. I'll leave a link to that in the description box down below. So as I alluded to before, there are 4 stances in which the Gatotsu is used. The Gatotsu Isshiki, where he thrusts ahead. The Gatotsu Nishiki, where he strikes diagonally down. The Gatotsu Sanshiki is the opposite, going diagonally up. And the Zeroshiki, which is a point-blank attack and uses all the power in the user's upper body to launch the sword ahead and can break pretty much any defense, even this turtle shell shield. Saito's style is a great reflection of his convictions for justice and the way that his morality is unwavering, continuously going forward no matter who the opponent is. And this sword style is probably the most terrifying thing to see before your final breath. Add this to the fact that he's actually pretty tall, especially for somebody in Japan at that time. He's about 6 feet tall, and he's strong enough to take strikes from Sanosuke, and we have a style that was created for this man in mind. At number 3, we have the infinite one-sword style used by Mifune from Soul Eater. So I had actually forgotten all about Mifune from Soul Eater, mainly because I forgot about Soul Eater because the ending was terrible, but there were actually some really great moments throughout that series, and Mifune was definitely one of them. Mifune is the bodyguard of a young witch, and he actually loses to one of the main characters, Black Star, in like the 2nd episode. However, it's revealed later in the series by the witch herself that he actually holds back since he has a love for kids. Which is one of the reasons why he is the bodyguard of this witch. However, he does claim that he will not lose to an opponent twice, which he makes very clear in their 2nd outing. Even without going all out, he is able to best Black Star, who is actually pretty powerful at this point in the series. His style incorporates spreading a bunch of swords around the battlefield. What was really tough was actually trying to figure out how to define this style because it's very improvised. If he gets a sword thrown at him, then he'll go ahead and start using a dual wield stance. If he loses his sword, he'll just pick up another one right next to the opponent. And even as you see here, he can use his swords to go ahead and pin down an opponent's weapon, just like he does here with these chains. I probably would have put him up higher on this list if he had actually shown up more and shown more of this cool style in the anime, but just the impact that he made alone and just how cool the infinite one sword style is and how original it is, I had to put it on the list somewhere. At number 2, Acrobat, used by Killer Bee from Naruto Shippuden. So Killer Bee was actually going to be my number 1 for this list, but it was a little hard to give him that since he doesn't really use this style a whole lot. The series mostly focuses on his Jinchuriki powers, which is really unfortunate because this style is so cool. With this sword style, Bee holds 7 blades. However, instead of using his hands, because you know, that's for chumps, he puts them in between parts of his body. It's such an unpredictable fighting style that even Sasuke's Sharingan had trouble actually keeping up with his movements. Bee's movements are very, very improvised. If he wants to throw his swords at you, he will. If he wants to impale you with a bunch of them, he will. And I mean, how are you going to prepare for somebody who uses 7 swords? He can even do things like act as a buzzsaw as he spins around rapidly, or as we can see here, doing some Sonic the Hedgehog action. He even uses his fighting style later to fight a reanimated Itachi. As I said before, I wish they would have utilized the style a bit more, especially since he was winning this fight before he used his Jinchuriki powers, but Killer Bee will always be one of the coolest characters ever created, and this sword style is what makes him number 2. And at number 1, of course, it had to be the 3 sword style used by Zoro from One Piece. I have a feeling a lot of you guys could have predicted that I was going to put Zoro at number 1, but just his prevalence in the series and how strong he is and how crazy this sword style looks. And I think that his sword style is probably the most fleshed out of everybody's style on this list. Zoro started off using a dual-wielding sword style until the death of his rival Kuina. Zoro, after her death, ends up asking for her sword so that he can fulfill their promise to become the greatest swordsman in the world. This unusual sword style uses techniques such as onigiri, which is a slashing / dashing style that utilizes the 2 swords in Zoro's hand to slash diagonally and the one in his mouth to slash horizontally. And one of my favorites, the billion-fold whirl, which was used to cut Pika, this giant mountain of a man. But not only that, he is actually pretty well versed in 1 sword style techniques and 2 sword style techniques. Zoro is able to hold his own, even dominate samurai from Wano, so he must be doing something right. Now, if he didn't get lost all the time, I think he'd be a bit more well-rounded, but we can't have everything. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment in the comment section down below of what some of your favorite unique sword styles are. Or you can email us at animecasuals with an S, real R-E-A-L, @gmail.com. But as always, guys, don't forget to keep it casual.